Hi everyone, welcome back to Total War Therapy, and today I'm gonna show you 8 hidden mechanics in Total War Warhammer 3. Some of them I have discovered after thousands of hours of playing. Of course, this video is meant mostly for new players that they may have got lost in all this huge complexity of numbers and symbols. So don't forget to subscribe if you enjoy my video, and let's begin. Hi, I'm Alberto, I'm a real person, and here you will find the beginner's guide, the battle unit roster, tier list, ranking, and many shorts. So if you wanna support the channel, please consider to subscribe. If you are an expert player with many thousands of hours of playing Total War Warhammer 3, you know, when you start a campaign with the legendary lord, you already know all the factions that you will bump into, who is more likely to be your ally, who's more likely to attack you, and then who's gonna play defensively, who's gonna be the ally or the enemy of another faction. But if you are not an expert player and you just approach this game, there is a way to know many of this information. I'm talking about when you open the diplomacy panel on the right. Below the strength rank, there are some, we can say, some characteristics, some peculiarity that the game decided to tell you about that particular faction. For example, here about Oxiatl, we know that there is the cold-blooded logic, so they will consider strong emotive states when engaging in diplomacy, and then they are protective, so in war they prefer to expand slowly, consolidates before moving forward, fiercely protect their own land, and wipes out harmful corruption. And then I can choose, for example, the Citadel of Dusk, these high hells that are just, they settle down here and they don't move for all the campaign. They are guardian, so they will do everything to protect their homelands. They are aloof, so they feel safe and secure and they don't feel affected by what happened to the rest of the world. And then we get, for example, Khorne. That Khorne will be, warbringer, so declares war on every civilization they bump into. They are brutal, so extremely aggressive. They corruptor, they bring corruption over the map, and so on. This can be a very nice feature, because I just met Bretonia here, for example, so I can engage in diplomacy and say, okay, they are protective, so they will probably not attack me very aggressively, very offensively, and then they are honorable, so they will not raid or sack. That is great. So they will occupy you maybe, but this is a very important mechanics that for new players can be extremely useful. Many players in Total War Warhammer 3 care very little about building the settlements, choosing the right buildings to construct, and so on. In this way, if you want to focus only on fighting around, on organizing your armies, planning your strategies, and so on, you can just go to the treasury stuff here, and here you can see at the bottom the auto construction budget. What it means? It means that if you give, for example, the 20% of your resources to this auto construction, the game automatically will take the 20% of all your money, of course without all the expenses for the armies and so on, to build the settlements. Okay, so instead of going to check all the time, especially in the late campaign when you will have multiple settlements to upgrade like this new one, if I don't want to care about building every time, so thinking, okay, what is the best option to build, I can just put the auto construction, and this fund will be assigned to building these settlements. Of course, it's a little randomized. It's still a mechanics that should be sharpened by creative assembly, but I think that it's a nice addition if you want to spend very little time on building your structures and settlements, capitals, and so on. Total War Warhammer 3 gives you the option to rename a unit, to rename characters, and to rename settlements. Now, you may think that this is not a roleplay game, that's why this kind of mechanics is not useful at all. But what if I tell you that this option to rename the characters, the units, and the settlement may be useful, especially in the late campaigns when you will have multiple armies or settlements at your service? Let's take an example as an example the army of Tenawin, if you go to the character panel, you will see that you got access to some banners. In this case we get the war banners that adds leadership to one specific unit, or the banner of the Eternal Flame that add the flaming attacks to one specific unit. What can I do? When I have all the army here, I can just decide to give this attribute to this unit of skirmishers. But how will I know exactly that this is the unit that will get this banner and this ability? I can just adding flaming here, for example. So I will know that when I give the banner to this unit, this will be the unit with the flaming attacks that will be more suitable to attack enemies with fire weaknesses. And I can do this with any unit, okay, if I wanted to specialize in some way. Of course, there will be even the disc here, but it can help you to understand when you have many armies, if you have a unit with the banner and so on. The same for a character. Okay, in this case I call it, for example, the assassin, because probably I built this character to be a character killer. But if I want to specialize this Saurus Scar veteran to hunt large units, for example, I can call it the hunter. Or if it's very tanky because I add an armor item or so on, I can call it the tank, and so on. It's a way just, to give you a better understanding of what your units are when you have multiple armies at your service. The same with the settlements. If I want to use this city to build my air fleet, so to recruit a lot of flying units, I can call it, I mean, now I'm being very boring, but of course you can have fun, you can call it the nest. And in this way you will know exactly what this settlement you're using it for. So it can be very funny. You can even try to call it like me, some of your friends and your parents, whatever. It can be quite funny and interesting if you use it correctly. If you are a new player in Total War Warhammer 3, probably the ambush mechanics will be such a mystery to you. Now, the ambush is a kind of stance, so a way to cross the map where you will be hidden to the other NPCs factions. This is great because if you are approaching the settlement of enemy, for example, the enemy can try to attack your own settlement, but he will not know that you are hidden here. So you will have an advantage in this fight. The enemy itself cannot withdraw from this fight, and basically the advantage will be that you will start the battle with the enemy army unprepared. That is especially useful if the enemy got a lot of artillery, missile units and so on, that you can just charge directly with your cavalry, for example. Now, what I want to say about the ambush is first that when you can put it here, and first there is an aura. This aura, this circle around the Lord, will be the area where the enemy, if the enemy cross this area, he will be vulnerable to the ambush. Of course, if it doesn't spot it. But if it just circle around, there will be no way to it can easily escape your ambush. The second thing is that you can just put the mouse on the map and see what is the ambush success chance. That, for example, here is of the 40%. In the forest, as you can see, reached the 80%. So before, of course, using these amazing mechanics, first check if the aura is covering an area that will be crossed by your enemy army, and then if the place where you are where you are making the ambush has a high chance to be successful. This is a feature that I ignored for so many years, and I haven't realized for such a long time how useful it could be. Now, when you open the diplomacy panel, you will focus, of course, more on the faction. But what if I tell you that there is a bar at the top of the map that show you different factors, different things over the map? For example, I can put the attitude. With the attitude, I will know which factions are allied to me, which faction will be enemies to me. It's a way to have an overview of your enemies, of your allies, and so on. Of course, you can even click on another faction and see that, for example, in this case, I have an unfriendly relationship with Bretonia. That's why I am the red. But with the Ghost of Fawax, I'm green because I am allied. And you know, it's a way to see, for example, if I want to know the Jade Court of Yambo, you know, with which NPC faction he's allied or he's an enemy, I can just have this overview with the map. In this case, I know that I am an enemy too, but there is Skull Taker that is another enemy, so I can just attack it from here, since it will be more distracted in attacking a Skull Taker. I mean, whatever, there are many things that you can plan, but you know, it's a good way to have a big picture of what's happening in the world. And then there is the ownership, there is the diplomatic status, the control, if you want to see if there is you know, some area that are at risk. Then there can be the growth, if you want to see if which areas have a bigger growth, the winds of magic that we're going to talk about in another part of the video, and then the corruption that you know, for example, here we have some corn corruption, so if I put the corn here, I will see some raid areas and so on. Then I wanted to talk about the map as well. It's really important to have a constant look, you know, big look at what's happening in the map. If there is an enemy that is attacking you from the coast, maybe you may miss it. So in this way you can see, okay, there is an enemy, in this case it's me, but you know, there can be an enemy that is attacking from here, or maybe there is a big area of the enemy and the main armies are positioned here. You know, it's very good, it's very important, especially if you're playing with the hard setting, to have a constant checks at the map, that if you zoom out, you know, it will be just you will know only the armies, and it may be very good to plan your campaign strategies and not only over the battle. Sometimes when you are building your campaign strategies, you may bump into a technology that may be particularly interesting. For example, this sequence of expansion that gives you more growth, more campaign movement range, and so on. Now, if I wanted to reach this technology achievement, I have to first do the Tablet of Monuments and then the sequence of Artisan. But I want to give total priority to the sequence of expansion. I don't care about all the other technologies available, I just want to get this. But at the same time, I don't want to go every time to choose a different technology. Maybe it's, you know, it's already one day that I'm playing and I go to sleep and I forget that there is this amazing technology that I want to unlock. So I can just click on them, and in this time, the game, in this way, the game automatically will choose the technologies to reach this sequence of expansion. They already tell you that it will be available in 7 turns, so you don't have to worry about till the completion of these 3 technologies, and at the end you will get directly this stuff without, you know, worrying about and going every time to check all the technologies to see where is this thing that was very useful to you. So use this particular feature, because believe me, he will so you don't have to spend all the time to go to check all the different technologies every time you have to choose one. This is something that probably many of you know, but I had to admit that I took a while before realizing it. That's why I want to share with all the people that don't know yet. When you click on the Lord on the map, you will have direct access to more information than you may think. First, if you click to the Lord here, for example, you will see all the consequences, all the bonuses and the debuffs that this lord is bringing to the province. In this case, the income from all buildings, more control, cleansing the corruption, hero recruit rank, and so on. And this may be great because otherwise, you know, you have just to go to check on the panel and see, okay, where is the part of the campaign that boosts the control, how much is it? Because you know, can be the addition not only of the lord but of all the other heroes that that are that joined the army. And then you have even here all the stuff about the items. I really didn't know that for a very long time. You know, here you can see if, the magical stuff, the armor, the mount that of course is clear from the map. But for example, if your lord is on the sea, you may miss which is the mount that he's in the currently on. And then all the bonuses, for example, of the heroes. In this case, the casualty replenishment rate, the magic item drop chance, and the unit experience gain. So when you will see the lord now, and there are even the winds of magic here, for example, the army abilities on the left, there is the upkeep. I mean, this is the only thing that probably are really new. And yeah, this can be quite helpful, you know, because for example, if I wanted to boost the growth in a settlement, I don't need to go to check, okay, all the heroes, all the lords, but I can just, you know, look at here and say, okay, overall it boosted the control of 3, so it may be great to keep it here for a couple of turns to increase the, you know, the control of the province and then go away. And you can plan some strategies of this kind. This is something I'm so ashamed to tell you, because I found out after so many years of playing this game, but it's actually true. I mean, I know that the winds of magic exist, that when you see the Lord army, there is this part with the pole of winds of magic. That means you know how much magic you can use with your army. But I didn't get specifically what it means when the winds of magic were going down or when they were going up. But what I found out very recently is that it's not only for Tzeentch that the winds of magic change with the province. For example, here we can say that in Chaka there are the winds of magic that are weak, with less 5, so every turn there will be less 5 wind of magic for your army. That's why, for example, this lord get less 5, because the local province winds will cause this effect. Then there are many abilities of the heroes or the lords that can change that, but it's important to, you know, to state and realize this, because if this is a lord that relies a lot on the magic, an army, you know, with the heroes, with the wizards, spellcasters and so on, I should probably move it into another region that doesn't have with weak winds of magic. That okay, now I don't find it here. For example, the winds of magic are strong, so plus 5. That can be, you know, from less 10 to plus 10. Of course, you can even use the feature of the map with the winds of magic here, and as you can see, you will see that the lighter area are the ones with more winds of magic, and the ones that are more darker, they have less. But keep this in mind when you're moving your army, because sometimes in very rare circumstances, but it can still happen, you can find yourself with a spellcaster, a very strong spellcaster, without winds of magic, because you know, you settle down in a province for many turns that reduce the winds of magic, and at that point, you know, you have to build the pole again, and it can require many turns. So be careful about that before moving a lord. See, okay, here the winds of magic are weak, so probably I should not you know, stay here a lot of time, and in the other area they're even worse, so this I have to stay away from this area, and so on.